Hey there, my name is Ersin Akinci, and I'm going to be talking today about improving your Lighthouse score with Partytown and Gatsby. So a little bit about me. I'm a developer advocate at Builder. In case you're not familiar with what we do, we provide a low-code, no-code tool for visually building websites very quickly using our drag-and-drop editor. And what sets us apart from a lot of competitors is that you can integrate any custom React component you want from any third-party library or anything that you've written. Makes it super easy to build websites, whether you're a technical or non-technical member on your team, without any kind of restrictions. And we spend a lot of time investing in open source, making products like Partytown, which I'm about to talk about. So before becoming a developer advocate, as a full stack engineer, bunch of different roles, mostly with e-commerce and consumer-facing product companies. And that means that I've been really, really concerned about website performance for a long time. Which leads me into my next point, which is that as front-end developers, full stacks, oftentimes I think we kind of think like, JavaScript performance, it's important, but like there's so many things that we can do to optimize it that surely it's not that big a deal. Well, what I would argue is that we actually have a lot of ways to optimize JavaScript delivery. And I think there's an important difference. So if we look into our bag of tricks that we usually reach into for JavaScript performance, we've got minification, we've got compression, we've got code splitting, we've got multiplexing, we've got defer, we've got async on our script tags, and these are all great, all right? And frankly, there's probably even more techniques, but the problem with all these techniques is that they all address getting JavaScript downloaded to the browser as quickly as possible. But once they're in the browser, JavaScript is still slow. It still has to execute. It has to be parsed. It has to be compiled. And JavaScript itself is still a bottleneck. This chart I took from Web Almanac 2020, published by HTTP Archive. By the way, great study if you're really into data around, heavy data around performance on websites. And to summarize the statistics, you're basically looking at different coefficients of correlation between the size of JavaScript bundles in bytes on the one hand and important performance metrics on the other, such as Lighthouse performance score and total blocking time. And the summary is basically these two sets of things are highly correlated, right? So the larger that your JavaScript bundles are, it's going to have a strong impact on performance. Now, that's not too surprising, but what's interesting to me is that this finding holds not only for first-party, not only for third-party JavaScript, but also for async JavaScript, right? Script tags that have async in them, in the tag. And to me, that was kind of a mind-blowing revelation. And it just goes to show you that, optimizing how your JavaScript loads, it's an important part of the story, but it's not going to save you. You have to think about optimizing how JavaScript executes if you're really serious about website performance. The problem is that optimizing execution is really hard, right? So this is where Partytown comes into play. Partytown is an open source JavaScript library for executing third-party scripts from a web worker. The idea is that it frees up your main JavaScript thread for your first-party JavaScript. And it literally just takes a few lines of code to implement. It's like the closest thing to magic that I've seen in a long time in front-end development. And here's a link to the project and how you can get started with installing it if you're adventurous. I think that this chart just cuts to the heart of the matter. On the left is how you normally load JavaScript, right? You've got your first-party script, your code, and then you've got your third-party scripts. They're all just scripts in the head tag or in body or something like that. The problem is, as you know, because JavaScript is a single-threaded language, all this code is fighting amongst itself for that thread. With Partytown, we offload the third-party scripts into a worker thread, so it runs in the background, and that's what allows your main thread to execute your first-party code and allows for really great performance, really great metrics around time to interactive or first contentful paint, all that good stuff. Some features of Partytown. We've got an easy to use API. It's literally just a matter of adding a script tag and then tweaking the type on your third-party script tags from text JavaScript to text/Partytown. Full browser API access within the worker thread for your third-party scripts. This is kind of insane. I'm just going to say, because a worker thread doesn't even have access to the DOM normally. So like this is some magic, right, going on. There's okay, so Partytown is totally opt-in, meaning that if you install it on your website, it's not going to force all of your third-party scripts to go through Partytown, right? You're always in control. And it's lazy loaded for optimum performance. So that's really great. Here's the last point that's really technical and kind of nuanced, but I think it's really important. Scripts that access, third-party scripts that access the browser DOM, when they're being run through Partytown, they access that DOM synchronously, even though they're executed in a background thread. What does this mean? Well, let's take this really simple snippet of code. If you were to just run this in the main thread, like in JavaScript console, you're going to get a rectangle from the element, and it's going to print the XY coordinates. Easy peasy. Here's the problem, though. First of all, as we mentioned, in a worker thread doesn't have access to the DOM. So you're going to have to create some way for the worker thread to communicate with the main thread. Main thread's going to have to access the DOM on behalf of your worker thread, serialize the data, communicate it back to the worker thread, and then you're going to have to do something with it. This is already a miracle of engineering. Partytown does this for you. But what's even more fundamental is that the communication between the worker thread and the main thread is always asynchronous. It has to be. That's just part of the browser model. So when you run code without Partytown, inside of a web worker, not only it can't access the DOM directly, but the communication is going to be async. So this console.log statement, there's no guarantee that it's going to run after the rectangle has been acquired. With Partytown, the DOM is accessed synchronously. And this is done through the magic of it's not magic, it's just simply using JavaScript proxies and service workers and synchronous XHR requests in a very clever fashion. The result is that third-party scripts that rely on this kind of synchronous execution, they just work, and you don't have to think about it. So let's dive really quick into a demo of what this looks like. I created this demo using Shopify Starter and deployed it to Gatsby Cloud. This slide is a quick overview. Feel free to pause the video to go over this, especially if you're going through the code. I'm going to just skip it in the interest of time, but this is an overview of how I created the demo, the kind of logic behind it. And here are some links to the live demo and a code sample at the end, hosted on GitHub. So with that, let me just show you real quick, what does this demo look like? This is running on my local host here. This is literally the Gatsby Shopify demo store. I created a demo Shopify store, added 3 products. And then I added this video. This is a demo video provided by Wistia. It's a video player with analytics. And let's see if we click play. Okay, you can see that the video works. Great. The reason I added that to that page, by the way, is so that it could simulate some of the stress in terms of content loading and execution on a page when we run Lighthouse. So to dive into the code really fast, we are loading our third-party snippets in Gatsby in this demo through Gatsby SSR.js. If you're not familiar with this file, this is how you access Gatsby's SSR server-side rendering API. You can learn all about it in Gatsby's docs. 3 of our third-party tags, Google Tag Manager, Intercom, and the Metapixel, these are being loaded through these snippets that were provided by the vendors. Pretty straightforward. And then 2 are using the Wistia and Klaviyo. Klaviyo is an email marketing tool. These are just using external URLs, right? And we have this detail here where the type is being set to text Partytown if we say that we're using Partytown, right? And this is going to allow the Partytown script to do a query all on all elements that have using a type selector, and it's going to find all the scripts that have text Partytown, and that's how it knows what to load. The actual Partytown itself is being loaded down here. We are using this Partytown React component, which comes imported from builder.io Partytown React. You don't have to use React to use Partytown. It's just a convenience. So the 2 most important configuration props here are resolve URL and forward. And these are used for proxying HTTP requests that have special needs around CORS headers. And for proxying, the forward prop is used for proxying calls to global methods that are set by third-party scripts. I'm not going to go too in-depth into it, but there's a bunch of documentation around this at the Partytown site. And for some of the most common scripts, such as Metapixel or Google Tag Manager, Klaviyo, that kind of stuff, we actually have all the settings in the docs. So it's really easy. Like, you don't have to figure this out on your own. We've already figured it out, and you just got to copy and paste the settings in here into the props. And then finally, line 143 here, set head components. This is the thing that actually injects the tags into our Gatsby head. So let's see what this looks like if we load up Google PageSpeed Insights, and then we're going to hit Analyze over here. This is the URL of my demo, Gatsby demo, that's hosted on Gatsby Cloud. And when I click Analyze, this is actually going to get the version of the page that is not using Partytown, right? It's just at this base root path. And it's going to show us the Lighthouse score for mobile. And you can see that it's 41. This is not great. There's a lot of room for improvement. I also want to draw your attention in particular to the total blocking time, 1,260 milliseconds. This is important because total blocking time is the amount of time spent blocking the main thread by long tasks executed between the largest contentful paint and time to interactive. This is not a metric that involves at all the time that's required to load to download the JavaScript, right? This is a pure execution metric. If we now go to PageSpeed Insights, and we're going to now hit Analyze with this /Partytown on the same base URL. This is now going to run the Lighthouse analysis on this version of the site using Partytown to load everything. And I think you're going to be shocked. And it's running, and boom, we're at 90 performance. With what? Just one change. We just added this script. By the way, when I run this, oftentimes I get like 95, 99, but I don't think I've ever gotten anything below 90, right? And it's because Partytown is executing these third-party scripts in the background. So they're not blocking the main thread anymore. And you can see that reflected in the total blocking time going down to 320 milliseconds, right? So this is a little bit about, this is just a really quick demo about how much, even like low-hanging fruit, if you just add Partytown really quickly and just plop all of your third-party scripts in, how much your web performance can improve. And I just want to say that ever since I started working with Partytown, it's really got me thinking about web workers in general. So I don't know about you, but to me, like, web workers kind of feel like they felt like this mystery and a little bit intimidating to start with. I think Partytown is great because it makes that technology of using JavaScript in a background thread super accessible, right? So something that I've been wondering is, like, are more projects just going to switch to their JavaScript running inside of web workers by default, especially now that web workers are so common in all the major browsers? And I'm kind of curious, what do you think? Do you think this is going to happen? And do you want to see more projects using web workers? So let me know. My Twitter is @desertdev_Ersin. You can find me on GitHub. Also, please, please, please check out our Builder open source Discord. I've got a link over here. We'd love to hear from the community. And I've got a link to the Partytown docs if you're interested in trying out Partytown. One last thing that I'll show you before I go. This is great. So here is our GitHub for Partytown. This is totally community driven. Like, we're not just doing a code dump of something we developed internally for ourselves and then we don't care or anything like that. I'll prove it to you. Go to pull requests. We haven't been public with Partytown source code that long. It's still in beta, right? So not everything works perfectly. But these two random pull requests that just happen to be open as I'm recording this, these are not by Builder engineers. This is code being submitted by the community. And so are a bunch of the issues that are listed. We welcome this. So please, if you have any interest, if this is interesting, welcome you to our GitHub page, and to make any contributions, any kind of complaints or suggestions, just head on over there or to the Discord. All right, thanks so much for listening, and hope to talk to you soon.
Ready for the live Q&A? Let's go.
All right, we have made our way to Partytown here, and we are here live now with Ersin. Welcome.
Hey, nice to be here.
Yeah, so glad to have you. And gosh, really love that presentation. I was even saying to you a minute ago behind the scenes how excited I was when I first heard about Partytown. And I think this thing is big. Actually, we'll just go right from there. Can you tell us the current status? Like, is this ready to use in production? Like, what is the status of Partytown?
Yeah, so Partytown right now is officially in beta.
Okay.
So I'm not going to lie and say that every single script that you throw at it is going to work. However, we do cover some of the really big ones like Facebook Meta Pixel, Google Tag Manager, all this stuff. We're using it in production right now on builder.io's main website for all of our marketing pages. And we even have Gatsby customers, for example, like Adams, they're a shoe brand, and they're using it for a lot of their marketing pages as well. So it's stable, it's improving every day, and we invite people to, test it and tell us if it's broken for their use case, then we'll fix it.
Quick note to my own marketing team, if you're out there listening, let's get in that beta and give this a try. And I think you answered. Craig from the community asked a question about Facebook and Google Tag Manager. This stuff's ready to go. They can use it?
Yeah, specifically for those two use cases, these are like tried use cases that are actually being used in production right now. I really encourage you to check out the main docs page at partytown.builder.io. And there we actually have specific configuration instructions for those two use cases for Facebook and for Google Tag Manager, as well as a bunch of other third-party scripts.
Okay, awesome. Great to hear. Great to hear. There was another question from the community, actually, from someone called Dustin, who rarely codes. He wants to know, what kinds of use cases do you see in web workers beyond performance? What excites you about them?
Oh man, this is, I guess Dustin, you're throwing my question back at myself. I don't really know. I'm kind of excited by the possibility of like, could we, for example, have front-end frameworks that are currently generating DOM, like virtual DOMs on the fly or something, say like React, just working inside of a background thread, and then it's just spitting out, DOM elements, HTML, to the main thread through XHR, which is how Partytown, by the way, communicates with the main thread using synchronous XHR. So I don't see why we couldn't just like spread the web worker revolution to every script.
Love to hear that. Absolutely. Kind of playing off that, but actually I'll go in a different direction. There's a question from I think a marketer out there named Aaron, who wants to know, what is the process for adding new tags? Does a dev need to get involved? Can a semi-technical marketer kind of handle this on their own, both in the beta as well as what you see down the road? How will you see that working? Yeah,
so adding the tags themselves is just like literally a snippet of code. At the moment, it would take a semi-technical person who knows what a script tag is and where to put it on the page, like in the head and whatever. For a web developer, I mean, it's literally 30 seconds. So I think down the line, we could definitely improve our documentation so that we could have like some kind of configuration tool, and then you could just copy and paste the snippet, kind of like with Google Tag Manager or something like that. There is a little bit of configuration that still needs to be done manually. So it's probably best to get a dev involved at this point.
Okay. All right. We'll do that, Aaron. Last, I guess, other than just the beta itself, what is the best way people can participate if they want to contribute to Partytown?
Okay, I'm so glad that you asked this. So please go to our GitHub page. This is a community-driven effort. We are, especially from the Gatsby community, we would absolutely love if somebody made a Gatsby plugin for Partytown. This is something that we're like seeing a lot of requests for, and we absolutely welcome any kind of PRs or issues from the community.
Jump on that, folks. We will definitely want to see that plugin created. I know there's lots of Gatsby users, including this one, who would
wait.
Place.
I have to say one more thing before we end. Please join our community Discord. You can find a link on our GitHub page as well as our main docs page, partytown.builder.io.
Absolutely. Yes. Everybody do that. Join their Discord, get involved in the beta, build a Gatsby plugin, all the things. And they can find you out on Twitter and other places, right? You're pretty easy to find.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Ersin. Really, really loved the presentation. Thanks for being able to join us live here for a few moments and really helping us kind of conclude our talks for the day, finishing with a bang. We're going to take a super, super quick break right now. Then Lacey and I are going to come back. We're going to finish out some more raffle prizes for the day, do a little bit of wrap on what you saw today, and get you ready for tomorrow. So join us in just a moment. See you then.